Ladies and gentlemen, do not be alarmed. A cynical Brit has been allowed on the air with a microphone. You will listen, or the kitten we have hostage will be forced to fight a giant badger. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Blue Please. Enjoy. Wow Radio.
Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome back to Blue Please here on Wow Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. We've been gone for, what, 2 weeks, something like that? Yeah. Thanks to all those who tuned in tonight. Looks like we're having record listenership, which is, well, a record. Fantastic. Thanks to Aeonix, Fangtooth, and the other guy that I can't quite remember for plugging us on the front page of the worldofwarcraft.com site. Always fantastic. If you haven't heard Mini Please, it's not Mini Please is on Saturday. If you haven't heard the Blue Please before, Blue Please is 2 hours of me, a cynical Brit with a microphone, ranting about various things. Yep, and people listen to that. Amazing. Fantastic. But, well, people listen to Britney Spears, so I think they'll listen to me as well. Anyway, coming up in the show, we have the usual comedy features in the form of Rap in the Forums, Ask the Murloc, No Cake News, and the Imbecile of the Week, of course. Show topics include issues about storyline, when World of Warcraft is not World of Warcraft, the hardcore content race, the test server, and the concept of dishonour, all that kind of jazz. So, suppose I better get on with it. Patch 1.6, Bug City, as some people are calling it, as Nubcake News will address a little bit later on. And it's interesting to see the reactions of people when you get a bug-filled patch. People get very angry. Quite understandable in some cases, but not so understandable in others. People are very good at overreacting, and that brings me on to my first topic of the day, and that is it okay to like a game so much that you defend it to the hilt no matter what? It's fanboys and trolls, folks, and everything in between. So what is a fanboy, for all those that don't know? A fanboy. There are various definitions of it. Usually a fanboy is someone who will actually like something to the degree of looking all the way past all its flaws, no matter how many, and defend it to the hilt. Often with very nasty language. They'll get violent. The e-thuggery will come out. Smack you around the head with their e-baseball bat. Hit you with an e-brick. Burn your e-house down. And trolls are, of course, the other side of the coin. The other side of the same coin, it has to be said. Trolls, the kind of people who will flame. They will attack a company, they will attack a game, even if they play it obsessively. It's like they hate the game, only they keep playing it. And of course, there's the people stuck in between the eternal battle of death, who can be classed as everyone else, the normal people. So, where does it come from? Why is it here? And why is it filling the forums? Why has it been filling the forums of various game communities for the past however many years? When did it arise? Probably something to do with the internet. It's always to do with the internet. So, there are various arguments as to why fanboyism actually appears. Some sinister, some not so sinister. Some people say the fanboy is a very insecure kind of person. He feels the need to be part of a group. And this group, in this case, is someone who will defend a game or a games company to a hilt. It usually tends to be a games company. So you'll have your Blizzard fanboys, you'll have your Sony Online Entertainment fanboys, you'll have your EA Games fanboys. And yes, they do exist. Ugh. So what you end up with is somebody who will irrationally defend any decision a game company makes. Take, for example, Blizzard. Every time a Blue makes a post, you will get one of three people replying. Firstly, you will get the fanboys who will say, "Oh my god, you are so fantastic. You rule, you know, blah blah blah." Then you get the troll who'll say, "Oh my god, you suck. You are awful. I'm cancelling." And then you'll get everyone in between that's going, "What in the blue hell are these people talking about?" It's a very bizarre state of affairs. But it's happening right now, folks. It's not good at all. And of course, the other side of the coin. you get your trolls. But in reality, they are exactly the same. You just have two people with differing points of view, but they're stuck in the same narrow-minded attitude. This attitude of, oh my god, my opinion is so fantastic, and I'm going to force it down your throat. I feel sorry for these people, but more so I feel sorry for the people who have to actually deal with these people. The community managers, the moderators, and the people who post on the forums. The normal people. Those people just trying to get on with their WoW lives. And how can you deal with these people? It's quite simple. You bash them down. And you bash them down with common sense and rationality, and that's the only way to go. Because fanboyism and trolling is unacceptable. Of course you already know that. But it's a good introduction to the show. And an introduction to this whole concept of the test server. Now, there's been a bit of discussion as to regards the purpose of the test server. And again, the trolls and the fanboys have got involved. The fanboys say Blizzard set up the test server because they care about the community, because they want to show us all these wonderful new things and give us a chance to help them in the bug testing process. The trolls, usually the more cynical people, will say they did it to keep people playing the game, to keep them dragged on to the next patch, to the next patch, to the next patch, keep their customers where they are, so they cannot escape their addiction to the game. And the normal people will strike a balance between the two. I think it would be rather naive to say that the test server does not exist for the purpose of seeing new content. And of course, seeing new content keeps you playing the game, waiting for this new content. It's a very sensible thing to do, as in the concept of a business, which is the reason it's there. But then again, it's also there for the purpose of testing. However, the thing which really confuses me, how can you have a test server and have people testing, actively testing in fact, and then launch 1.6 live with this many bugs in it? I mean, this confuses me. It really is. It really does confuse me a heck of a lot. Did they release the patch because people were clamouring for it and saying, oh my god, I'm going to cancel, blah, blah, blah? Or did they release it and did they just get it out the door for the sake of it? Which is a little bit crazy, especially if there's a whole bunch of bugs right there. Now, I don't subscribe to this theory. This thing comes up all the time. Yes? This theory comes up all the time. If it's not a live environment, you can't necessarily test all possible bugs. And there's nothing more than people who shake down. You've got hundreds of thousands of people shaking down your game to shake out the little loose bits, find the bugs. However, if the bugs have been reported before the thing goes live, weeks before the patch goes live, I'd like to know why it went live. Now, I quite like World of Warcraft. I really do. It's a great game. But I'm confused as to why Blizzard did this. And it makes me wonder, was it community pressure? Is the community stabbing itself in the foot, folks? It's a possibility. Because let's face it, that was a big gap between patches. We don't usually get that many patches. We don't usually get that many weeks between patches. So people have been clamouring for more content, more content, more content. They're paying, therefore they demand the content. They must have it! Have it now! Calm down, people. So we get this stage of people banging down Blizzard's door, demanding new content. And of course, if they demand new content, it is Blizzard's job to provide. And Blizzard provided. Unfortunately, that content had some issues with it. So the question is, can we look past those issues? And to look past those issues, are you a fanboy? If you don't like those issues, are you a troll? Or are you something in between? I think, to be honest, a lot of us are obviously looking past those issues because we're still playing the game. Now, logically speaking, people who do not like this game should not be playing it. And people who object morally strongly to the concept of a bugged patch should have unsubbed right now. The fact is they have not. And what they'd rather do is stick around on the forums and whinge about it. Now, if those bug reports have been given to Blizzard, those bugs will eventually be fixed, I hope. I really do hope. I still have my faith in Blizzard, as obviously do a lot of people, because they're still subscribing to the game. So there's no point in beating the dead horse, that's what I'm saying. Now, Blackwing Lair was also a bit of a contention issue. Now, people wanted to bug test Blackwing Lair, but then again there was an uproar on the servers, the forums, and they said this was, of course, the vocal groups, the hardcore players, the hardcore guild said, no, we don't want it on the test server because people will use the test server to practice Blackwing Lair, and we want it as a challenging piece of content and something that it's going to take a heck of a lot of effort to get through. And it's an element of competition. And I have a nice little post here that describes this very, very well indeed. Now, often you do not hear the community managers saying anything this concrete, and I'm glad for once that they have. And I think honesty like that can be rewarded. This was taken from the American forums. I'm going to post it in the chat room, and if you're not there, get over to wcradio.com, because you should be there and join in the madness. A guy called Teagle. I've never actually heard of Teagle, but then again, I'm a European. We have 2 community managers. Well, 3 if you count Tech Lead, but he's a gnome, so we don't really count him. Anyway, what this guy says is Blackwing Lair was designed for hardcore players. Usually you don't get stuff like that because the casual players will go nuts. Every time a Blizzard poster lays down the law, someone will go crazy. It's inevitable. If they say we're going to develop more hardcore content, the casual players go crazy. If they're going to develop more casual content, the hardcore players go crazy. Going to develop more sub-60 content, the 60s go crazy. More 60 content, the sub-60s go crazy. You can't be all things to all men. Now, the reason this guy gave for not putting Blackwing Lair on the test server, he said, we listened to the community. And the community said they didn't want it on there. Because if it was on there, it would be used to practice, to farm it before it went live, and it wouldn't be a challenge anymore. And people want the bragging rights to be the first ones to beat the big bosses in Blackwing Lair. And that is totally understandable. So it's another case of the community shooting itself in the foot and not knowing what they want to do. It's like a two-headed ogre. One head wants to go one way, one head wants to go the other, and the body just gets stuck in the middle. It's unpleasant, but it's true. Blizzard are, in fact, doing their duty. They are listening to the community. And that's the reason Blackwing Lair did not go into the public test server. And that's the reason we now have, or did, have a bugged Blackwing Lair, which has apparently now been hot-fixed, so I've been told. Which is positive. So it made me think. The community in this game is obviously quite effectual, if they can effect such changes. Affect such changes that even they themselves may not actually want. Yet, they plough on regardless and say, no, we will quite happily accept Blackwing Lair without bugs. With bugs. But don't put it on the public test realm, because that ruins the surprise, and it ruins the competitive edge. And let's face it, hardcore guilds are in there for competition. They're there to be the best. And that's one of the ways of doing that. Beat Blackwing Lair first. Beat the big instances. Do MC over and over again. Take down Ragnaros. Take down Anoxia. That kind of thing. The big challenges. And a lot of people thrive on that and live for it. And I think that's fair enough. So I can't honestly see where a lot of these wines are coming from. Because it was the hardcore players in the first place that demanded that Blackwing Lair not go on the test server. Then it was the hardcore players complaining that Blackwing Lair is buggy. Yeah, because it wasn't on the test server. You asked it not to go there. A little bit crazy. But that's where we are right now. Anyway, that's enough of me ranting for the time being. Okay, later, coming up in the show, we shall be having information about the Dark Moon Fair, all the information you will hopefully need to know about the prize tickets the sets of cards, the trinkets, all that kind of thing for those who have not seen or been to the Dark Moon Fair yet, which apparently is the majority. The hardcore content race. And when is World of Warcraft not World of Warcraft? This is Blue Please here on WoW Radio with Total Biscuit. Here's a little bit of cheese. It's Europe, it's the final countdown. Enjoy.